Hello and welcome to Talkin' Trades, the weekly podcast where we talk about comics so you don't have to. I'm Jeremy and I'm a DC fan.
I'm John, I'm Marvel Nut.
And I'm Matt, and did you know it was AGATHA all along?
Yes.
I did know. We both knew.
Yes, I did.
We all three knew.
We all knew. Yeah, I suppose, spoiler alert.
Well, but what did Agatha do, guys? Where was Agatha from? Why are we talking about Agatha?
Who is even Agatha to begin with? You don't know.
Why is Gamora?
Why exactly? Why is Gamora?
I took my headphones off for a second and I came back to why is Gamora. Oh, this podcast is stupid. I don't know why anyone listens to it, but I'm glad you're here to listen to us talk about WandaVision. Gentlemen, let's just jump right into WandaVision. The back half of WandaVision. It's the best.
It was so good. It was also good. I didn't even get what I wanted to get, and I enjoyed it.
I don't know that anybody got what they wanted to get, except for maybe the hardcore Agatha Harkness fans.
Yeah, and people wanting to see her in like a more Scarlet Witch suit.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
that's true. That's true.
But I mean, you did get that.
You did get that.
She looked great.
Yeah.
What a good costume.
They all look great. Paul Bettany even said he hopes to play Vision forever. And I hope he does too. I love him so much.
They set it up. They set it up for more.
It's so funny going from the Vision of the Tom King book that we read where he's kind of creepy to just charming, lovable,
wholesome Papa Vision.
Yeah, Paul Bettany. Even when he was the bad guy in Solo, he just wanted to give him a hug.
Did you?
He's just got like a face, you know, a good face.
He does have a face.
And his wife is gorgeous. Both of them, his TV wife and his real life wife.
Who's he married to in real life?
Good for you, Paul. Jennifer Connelly.
Ah, I did not know that.
Yep, the voice of Friday, the current Jarvis, essentially in Tony's suit or in Tony's suit while he was alive. Spoiler for Infinity War and Endgame, but like that's on you. So the characters in this show we have already talked about from the previous WandaVision episode. So if you haven't listened to the previous WandaVision episode, please go back and do so. If you haven't watched WandaVision episodes 1 through 8, you're an idiot.
9.
Go back and watch it. And if you're my grandma listening to this, you don't plan on watching it either way, I love you very much. I'm happy you're supporting us.
Be sure you also watch episode 9.
Yeah, if you haven't watched WandaVision...
No. Just 1 through 8. You're good. Episode 9 is not
If
good.
you haven't watched WandaVision, why are you even here?
Because you're my grandma and you love us.
Okay, outside of that. Adorable grandmas aside.
Oh, I don't know.
Like, why are you here?
Then I don't know.
Unless you just love us that much, which, like, bro, thanks.
What? Hey, seek help. But let's get right into the actual plot of WandaVision. In the first few episodes, Wanda is setting up her world. We've already talked about this, but now in episodes, is this 5 through 9?
6 through 9.
We get
Nice.
6 through 9. Nice. 6 through 9. We get more information on what this world is outside. We find out S.W.O.R.D. has had more involvement than we previously thought. We find out that Monica Rambeau is going to be in the MCU longer as Photon, and I'm very excited about that. We find out that Agatha was the problem all along. It was Agatha all along, and she killed the dog.
Witch cackle.
Oh my God, what a show. What a show. John, why don't you go over the beats of the plot here? Because I know you know this better than I do.
So the episode 6 is like early 2000s. So it is straight up Malcolm in the Middle. Doesn't try to be anything else.
It is so good.
Life is unfair.
I loved every darn second of episode 6. That was Malcolm in the Middle with Quicksilver and Wanda and Vision and the kids with Speed
and it worked
Wiccan.
like crazily well because Quicksilver was basically Francis, who's like there but like not there all the time. Like it was really well done. It was an excellently chosen analogy.
I loved it. I loved it so much. It was so good.
I agree. It was really good.
So what was going on there
Evan Peters,
was Halloween, and they're going to have a good old fashioned suburban Halloween.
We get the great costumes.
Yeah, the costumes are insane. So the children are dressed as Tom.
Wiccan. They're
Billy
Wiccan.
is Billy is dressed as Wiccan, and Tommy is dressed as Quicksilver, not Speed.
Mm.
But
like,
it's cute.
It's a great nod.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cute.
Vision tries to because we last left in the 90s, or Vision's like, no, something is happening and I don't know what's going on. I can't remember anything. So it starts off with him kind of going rogue and trying to see what's really going on. So he goes further and further and further, all the way up towards Ellis Street, which is like the boundary point, more or less. And Wanda, meanwhile, and Quicksilver take the children trick-or-treating. And Wanda asks her, like, hey, what's going on with Vision? Is he with the Neighborhood Watch that was introduced 2 episodes ago? And he goes, oh, no, Vision's not doing that today. It's because Vision was seeing what was going on. And the further you get from Wanda, the weaker and weaker the signal effect of the less she's able to do. Like, he comes across a woman who is crying in pain, trying to hang one piece of clothing and unable to.
Yeah.
Repeatedly.
Oof, it was creepy.
It was hard to watch. Like, it was honestly hard to watch.
It was very like Stepford Wives-y, like you're seeing behind the mirror into how the perfection is not so perfect for the first time. It was gross.
Yeah.
Not gross. It was just dark.
Vision happens upon a stopped car, and in it is Agnes, and she's just frozen. And he's like, "What's going on?" And he kind of breaks her out of the spell. Just similar to the way he did with Norm at work. And she goes, it's Wanda, everything's ridiculous. Then he puts her back in, and she's like, okay, and drives up into Ella Street and then back towards the town. It looks like nothing happened. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to go outside this. I'm going to keep going. We're going to see what's out there. So he keeps going, and he bursts through the wall of the hex. And
now, for those who may not be aware, the hex is what's surrounding the town. And if you leave the hex, you just go back to what you're supposed to be outside of the hex. Mm-hmm. So Vision, of course, goes back to being parts of scrap and not existing.
Yeah, he can't exist outside the hex, is what he soon discovers.
Because he's off.
He calls out, and Billy hears it. And then he is able to communicate that to Wanda, who is able to push the walls of the hex further through... what's his name? Hayworth? Hayward. Through Hayward's
the sword guy.
Through his vehicles and people, and turns that into a circus.
Yeah. And he leaves Darcy handcuffed to a car when Darcy was sitting there screaming at them to help Vision when he was trying to get out because he was disintegrating.
Yep.
Because he's a bad person.
And that's pretty much the synopsis of the episode, but you do get a lot of excellent moments with Quicksilver and Wanda. They have a whole deep conversation. They ask where
Evan Peters was born to play kind of a smart aleck.
She asks whatever happened to your accent, and he goes, what happened to yours? Which, you know what? Got him.
Yeah.
Got him.
Which is something that has been brought up in the MCU for a while.
A lot.
I love that they addressed it.
And he gets into hijinks with the kids.
Yeah, run around, super speed. Hilarity ensues as it does. It's great. He's basically a kid. It's great. Then the next episode is the 2010s-ish, which is basically...
This was my favorite of the episodes in the backseat.
It's Modern Family / The... Well, it is Modern Family, but the intro is The Office.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if maybe it would be The Office if it wasn't a workplace setting, but I think it was just genuinely Modern Family.
Yes. Some of the they don't do camera breaks in Modern Family with the exception of the interviews. Like they don't break to the camera during the skits.
There was the gym stare, 100%.
Right. So that I think that stuff was you had to get that from The Office. You just had to. You couldn't leave that out. It's such a cornerstone of the 2000s.
Yeah. And the other thing too is one of the more noteworthy things that happened last season of The Office, which I personally couldn't stand, was when they did break the fourth wall and the sound guy was a part of Jim and Pam's plot in the final season. And I'm like, this is
I don't like that show.
Not great. But they did it with the director asking Wanda a question. So like they referenced it. I didn't love it, but it is what it is. So this one is Wanda needs a break. She has worked enough. She is stressed out.
She's worked enough, and she's also not sure how this all. She doesn't know, at least according to her, how this has happened. She's not sure why this is happening, but she knows that she is in control in some subconscious level. So she wants this episode to kind of relax and try to figure something out, but also to try to ignore it and move on.
So like she's just trying to have her day, and the kids are like playing video games, and everything is starting to go kind of haywire. Like their controllers turn from different console to like Uno cards.
Yeah.
Wanda gives herself cereal, but like the milk keeps going from like a glass bottle, like a milkman, to like a carton, to like a more plastic thing. Like it just keeps changing. Nothing is staying consistent.
I love the detail of when things changed. There was like static, and it was like TV static, but only on the thing that was changing.
It was very well done.
Little visual image.
Very well done.
As opposed to an audio image, Jeremy, you absolute idiot.
Hey man, audio imaging is a thing.
That's okay.
In like doctor offices.
Oh, there we go. I'm smart.
Kind of funny, repeatedly referred to people listening to the podcast and not watching them record as audio listeners. So like, it is what it is. Everyone makes mistakes.
I'm sorry. Where's the lie?
So, meanwhile, Vision and Darcy are trying to get back. He kind of does the same thing with Darcy, where he breaks her out of the spell after she, in a wonderful style, breaks out of chains. It's just awesome.
She's great.
Just awesome.
But she's now part of the Hex. Like, she doesn't know who she is. Her DNA has been rewritten so that she is just part
She's
of the
like
Hex.
an escape artist in the traveling circus.
The Hex. Anybody who goes into the Hex becomes a part of it.
Doesn't last terribly long, though.
No.
And they then get a funnel cake truck to try and go back. And they're stopped at the intersection for forever. As
this was my favorite scene in the entire show. It was awesome.
Why don't you go into it?
So they're stuck at this like intersection, and this is the only intersection for like what appears to be miles. And there's a stoplight there that Vision's like, this wasn't here before. And they're waiting, and they're following all the rules, which like Darcy has proven in the past that she's like, yeah, rules are there, but like she'll break rules if she has to. She's great. So, but they're sitting at this stoplight, and they get the green light to go, and then out of nowhere comes a crosswalk guard and stops them, and then they're doing work on the road or whatever, and they get stopped again. They're like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. This goes on for a bit, and then Vision goes, wait, what am I doing? And he's like, I can fly. And he just takes off flying back. And I just love the idea that he forgot that he could fly. I think that was the comedic timing on that was absolutely, he does the stare. Yeah. And the way that he finds out he can fly is in an interview separate from the scene.
In the direct address aside, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's in a chair, he does that, walks off set, immediately cuts to him in the truck, and then he flies.
Yeah, that was good.
It was so dumb and funny. Oh my God, I loved it. This was my favorite episode, bar none. I hate The Office, but this was my favorite episode, bar none.
It was very well done. Everything was very well done.
Yes, the whole show. The whole show deserves awards.
What else happened? Agnes came over. And it's like,
what else happened?
Let me take the kids. Like, you need a U day. Like, this is fine. I'll take the kids.
And she I think she must have had 3 or 4 helpings of the scenery because she chewed it the entire time she's on.
I was so here for it though. Like, I loved it so much.
She's so. Dude,
I first saw her in Parks and Rec, and yeah. And after seeing her character in Parks and Rec, I'm like, you know what? She can ham it up all the way to whatever comes after 11. We don't know. And like, she's so good. She's so good at this role.
Like when I saw her, I had seen her in like comedies, like the Will Ferrell comedies, and she's great in those. Don't get me wrong. But like when I saw her in this, her name's Catherine Hahn. And when I saw her in this, like I was like, okay, cool, fun character. Like I like this fun neighbor character. And when we find out what happens with her, spoiler alert, we're going to get into a second. She is one of the... Yeah, that's true. She's the bad guy. She's Agatha. She's the bad guy. And she is evil. She plays the evil, serious role super well. At no point was she unbelievable. And there are comedic actors who I see and I'm like, I can't take you seriously. I took her seriously.
Mm-hmm.
She did a great job. But this stuff where she's just hugging the boys and talking and just staring directly into the camera for the entire scene was amazing.
Well, look at the contrast from the first episode, right, to the finale. It's insane. What kind of a house life would I be if I had an entire 4-course meal ready to go? Oh God, so good. Love it. Give her all the Emmys, which is probably one, because I don't know how she'd be nominated for multiple for this one show, one season. But
yeah, I'm not sure, but we could figure it out. Supporting actress in a supporting role, and then actress who supports.
Comedic role.
3 different awards. Ooh, comedic role. Breakout TV star.
Slim Wanda, after a while, realizes nothing's going on. What's going on with these kids? Right? Is that why? Why is does she go to Agnes's for another reason?
She goes to Agnes's because she's just nothing's going on. I want to see the boys.
I'll go see my kids.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha. I wasn't sure.
They've been gone for a while.
I wanted to watch the series through again, but work was not on my side, so I didn't get a chance to watch the
That is fair.
But I watched the first 3 again, but it was... Anyway. So she goes to Agnes's, and she's like, oh, where are the boys? And also, the house is, super overgrown. Gigantic plants.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's very weird.
And the inside is, dark.
Yeah.
Just looks dark. It's there's a lot of darker wood, and the couch is almost a black or purple kind of thing. It just doesn't fit with the aesthetic of the rest of the neighborhood quite. And you don't really notice it at first.
Yeah, but after a scene and exchange happens there, she's like, where are the kids? She's like, oh, probably just, playing in the basement. So Wanda goes into the basement, and it is...
Does the door creak open on its own?
I don't remember.
I think it does, right? I think it does. And so this whole time, everything's been shot in... Anything outside of the hex is shot in widescreen. So you get the black bars on top and bottom of the screen. And everything inside the hex has been shot
the appropriate ratio for the times.
Yeah. And so it's there's no black bar, fills up the whole screen. At this point, when Wanda starts walking down the stairs, it turns into widescreen. And that has very obviously been recognized as that means you're leaving the hex.
Mm-hmm.
So Wanda is leaving the hex.
And she goes into the basement.
Going into a witch den.
And this is the point where we realize that it has been Agatha all along. She has trapped Wanda in the basement by putting runes on the 6 sides of the space, the sanctum, whatever you want to call it,
the hex,
the place,
the inner hex,
and
whatever it is.
Obviously, as anyone knows, only the witch who casts the runes can use their magic inside the hex. Obviously,
which
this is magic 101.
Duh. Come on,
and then we get the
Matt. We learned that in hex school, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Then we get the greatest of the songs of the show, which is Agatha.
Who's been messing up everything?
It's been Agatha all along. Which is just the Monsters theme, but it's so good.
It's so good. And it goes through and it shows you all the stuff she's done for the entire show. All the stuff she's been messing up with her magic. And her magic is purple. And she's great. And I love it so much.
Yep.
And the episode ends with Agatha. Wanda runs outside.
No, that's where Agatha it ends. It ends with Agatha all along.
Oh,
then we get episode 8, which is previously.
My bad.
All good. Well, no, we get I think we get a post-credit scene. No, that's the next.
Yeah, we do.
That's the next one. That's the next one. Next one has one.
Well, I thought the.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. Go into it. It's Mr.
Snooper's gonna snoop. So, yes. Photon Monica Rambeau, is looking for Wanda. She made it through the hex, albeit she almost died while doing so by using a truck that was made by Jimmy Woo's apparent friend. who we still don't really know.
I thought it was made by the aerospace engineer that was loyal to Maria.
Yeah, it's a friend. Jimmy.
Yeah, then.
Oh, it's Maria's friend.
Yeah, it was that connection.
But it's the engineer that we never get to meet in the whole show. But everyone was speculating it's going to be.
We get to meet her. She was there. She had like a scene.
Is she the one? Is she the end?
No, she brought the vehicle. She was there when the vehicle arrived.
Oh.
I did not catch that. So good catch, John.
That. But Monica tries to get in. Truck doesn't get through. So she's like, you know what? I'm just going to power through on my own, which is when she fully gets her powers and becomes.
Because it was noted that every time you enter the hex or leave the hex, your DNA gets rewritten. And your DNA is already kind of like funky. And if you go in again, who knows what could happen to you?
Yeah. So she did that. And she fully gets the photon powers that, has been hinted at up to that point.
You hear all sorts of dialogue from like Captain Marvel and just everything.
Mm-hmm. And so she goes looking for Wanda. She tracks her down to Agatha's home, and she's about to enter through a different way down.
Cellar door.
Yeah, cellar door. But before she does, she stops by my boy. And he says Snooper's gonna snoop, and we don't know what that means.
Fietro.
Yeah, good old Fietro.
So the penultimate episode is Previously On, which is largely a flashback episode, but done through the lens of Agatha being like, okay, Wanda, how did this happen?
These are also flashbacks we've never, this is all brand new stuff that we've only heard about. So it's very well done, very cool.
So timeline-wise, we see Wanda as a child in Sokovia. And it seemed like one of the favorite pastimes of the family or their traditions would be to gather around a very tiny TV set in presumably a not great apartment and watch some old-fashioned American sitcoms. And we see basically the father brings home like a trove, and there's like everything we've seen paid homage on the show, like there's Dick Van Dyke Show, Mary Tyler Moore, Brady Bunch, I Love Lucy, Bewitched, Malcolm in the Middle is even in there. I don't think we get Modern Family in there, but like this would have been before Modern Family, which would make sense as to why. Anyway.
Isn't she watching Malcolm in the Middle when she's with Vision, and then doesn't like
that's later
flash on screen?
That I don't know, but that's in a little bit.
Okay.
And then she gets to pick any season from any show from any season, any episode from any show from any season, and she picks a Dick Van Dyke Show episode that apparently is like a big deal episode that I was unfamiliar with, like the legacy of it, but it was one of the first TV shows episodes of TV to introduce the premise of like it was all a dream.
Oh,
that one, yeah. I think it's about nuts, or it's walnuts or something to that degree, where they just keep being incessant amounts of walnuts. But it was like a landmark piece of television.
That episode.
Yeah, that's the one.
That is very cool.
It was really cool. And while they're watching,
wait, do you guys think that WandaVision's all like not real?
Unfortunately.
Whoa. That's crazy.
You know, Wanda's played by an actress named Elizabeth Olsen, and you name dropped
the
actor who plays Vision quite a few times.
I don't remember that. This is insane. Someone's been messing up everything. Who could it have been?
Someone played by Catherine Hahn, of course.
All
along? Thank you for indulging me in stupidity, gentlemen. This is why I love you guys.
So from there, we see a bomb, a Stark bomb, come,
which we had heard about from Age of Ultron. This was like the thing in Age of Ultron. She's like, you know why we hate you, Tony Stark? Because there was bomb in house and we have to look at it for many days. And it only say one word, Stark. And she also was
waited for 2 weeks for Tony Stark to kill us. That's my Elizabeth Olsen. It's not
but it never blow up. I will lose this accent in one film.
And Pietro goes, I see literally a little picture every day, and no one cares. So she
Where's the lie? Where's the lie?
What's notable is the Stark bomb did the same exact beeps as the toaster from the commercial in episode 1.
I never would have noticed that.
No, me neither.
I love the little details.
The show is full full of little details. So then Agatha's like, okay, we see your trauma, but like that doesn't really like. Oh no, she says, okay, so obviously you've been a witch the whole time. It doesn't make sense. Why would this bomb not blow up? Right? It doesn't make any sense otherwise.
And to this point, I'm like, yep, that makes perfect sense to me. She's always been a witch.
Mm-hmm.
And Wanda's like, no, I was not always.
No, you're a witch.
Never had powers. And Agatha's like, yeah, that's exactly correct.
She looks like a witch.
They dressed me up like this, but they like show Agatha's backstory, and like she was being burned at the stake by other witches, which is weird. But she's being burned at the stake by other witches, and then she takes all of the witches' powers.
She was burned at the stake because she was practicing the dark arts, which made her, and she had too much dark knowledge, which made her too dangerous to be left alive by her coven.
It's just funny that you never see witches burn each other. It's always people burning witches in such a juxtaposition. It's the show. God, this show.
It was so good. It was so good. So she goes, okay, so you
deserve it.
I've been saying that the whole time.
I agree with you, man.
The whole time I've been saying it. So we go on to the next one, which is basically what is not seen right before Avengers Age of Ultron, where Hydra has Wanda in Strucker's base, and she's waiting for an experiment. And while she's waiting, she's watching an episode of The Brady Bunch.
As you do.
As you do. And the episode is about, I'm not super up in my Brady Bunch. That's probably the least familiar I am with the show.
That Brady Bunch episode was the Todd Glass episode, I think.
The Todd Glass episode?
Yeah, I think it was. So the Todd Glass episode is a famous one where Marsha's the pretty one, and Jan is the one who isn't Marsha. And there's like, someone's like, oh, Jan, you don't have a boyfriend? She goes, yeah, I do. His name is Todd. Todd what? And she like, looks around the room. It's like, Todd Glass. Like that's where that bit comes from, is that. She was a Todd Glass. She like looks at a glass of water and says his name is Todd Glass.
That I don't know.
She makes up this boyfriend.
But that episode is noteworthy for 2 other reasons. One, the youngest daughter of the Brady Bunch family, the Brady Bunch, is treating a doll as if it were a real baby.
Creepy.
And that's kind of the clip that we see, is that like the brother's like, whatever, it's a doll. And she goes, no, it's a baby. Which is the parallel with the show. And the other thing is that doll is the doll that Vision changes in the 70s show when he's timing himself for to how quickly he can change a diaper.
My God, this is unbelievable.
Isn't it bananas? Like, love it.
I cannot wait to watch the Watch Mojo 25 things you missed in WandaVision.
I watch videos after every episode and it was like 50 plus. It's insane how many things there are.
And they're all intentional.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
None of this is coincidental.
100%.
I love it.
So she's waiting to be experimented on. Then you catch a bit of dialogue between Strucker and a subordinate where they're like, okay, let's get her in there. And the subordinate's like, everyone has died. Why are you doing this? Okay, let's go.
He's like, because I'm evil.
So they basically are putting people close to Loki's scepter.
It's called the Loki Pokey Stick.
It is not called Loki Pokey Stick.
Did the Loki Pokey.
The Loki's...
and I turned myself
The
around.
Loki Pokey, which has the Tesseract in it from before it gets turned back into the Tesseract.
I don't know if it's a Tesseract, but I think it's the Mind Stone, no?
It's the blue thing. The Tesseract, they go from Tesseract to Staff in Avengers.
Gotcha.
In the first Avengers.
Gotcha. So it is the scepter.
Is the Mind Stone.
Everyone's right. So they put her near the Mind Stone, and she sees a lack of a better word, a vision of the Scarlet Witch, like from the comics with the headpiece that we all have come to know and love. in like this sea of yellow. It's very hard to describe, but like a vision of who she can become.
It's almost like a Christ imagery,
but like
Joker.
It's too fewer Christ imageries than we've had from Snyder Cut. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Civil War 2. There we go. Check your bingo cards. Check them off.
What is a running gag if not Civil War persevering? So the Hydra people are looking at the footage, and all they see is Wanda like walk, and that's it. Like they don't see whatever is going on.
Yeah, it's like
stuff.
watching. It's like in Family Guy, you know what I mean, where it's one frame and they're down when they fall down.
Yeah,
it was her walking and then her on the ground, and it was very serious, but also just
kind of funny.
Yeah.
So they don't know what happened.
It's her altering reality already. She's already altering reality.
And with the to jump back with the bomb in the apartment, what's neat with that is like her whole thing in the comics is manipulating probability. Like that's her thing. So changing the odds to where the bomb was a dud was like it was a nice nod, and I loved it. So Agatha's like, okay, I get it now. So the Mind Stone is what amplified your power, what strengthened you, what brought it to the surface. That's what made you so powerful. And she's like, I'm not a witch. She goes, Wanda, your magic's on autopilot. Like that's crazy powerful. You don't understand. Because like I've been to Witch University, and it's not a big deal. It was
Wanda,
but
all along.
Yeah. So then we go to basically right before / during Civil War, Captain America Civil War. And she is actually probably closer to Age of Ultron, to be honest, because she's still coping heavily with the loss of Pietro, who died in Age of Ultron. And
it's when like the perfect way to describe the timeline is when her and Vision begin their budding relationship, because by Civil War they are in a relationship, and when Ultron ends, they are nowhere near a relationship. So this is like that perfect midpoint between the two films.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the Sokovia Accords have not come into play.
Correct.
Yet.
We're, I think, closer to to Ultron than we are Civil War.
Yes.
And she does what any well-adjusted human being would do and throws herself into distractions.
Watches Malcolm in the middle.
She throws herself in distractions. Unrelated. It's been about a year since work from home has been a thing. It's been great.
Cool. Bring it up again. Awesome. I love it.
It's great. So she, watched Malcolm Middle and Vision's like trying to understand what is funny about the show, because he is an AI. He does not understand humor. Humor isn't logical. So he has to find a way to relate it. And the scene is how the father is like working on not a deck, like a canopy on the over the deck, and it like crashes awning.
Yeah, an
it's
awning.
Too big to be an awning, but crashes on top of him. And then Vision's like, "Oh, that's funny because he suffered like grave injuries or something." And she goes, "It's not that kind of show. He'll be fine." Like
it's funny because he's not hurt.
Exactly. And so they're trying to do
Vision,
that.
like does it like makes sense to Vision on some level.
And he tries to comfort her, and he says the line that Seamus ripped off for a horrible joke, because she's still sad, and he doesn't quite get that. And he realizes like, what is grief if not love persevering? Which, pack it up if you were writing something serious about loss, because like you're not going to top that anytime soon.
Yeah.
No. Yes, and I know there's been some backlash about that particular comment because people grieve differently. But my God, everyone relax. He's there. It's a cartoon show. It's a real life show about superheroes, and they're trying to be as poignant as possible. And honestly, at no point is that a disrespectful or hurtful comment. So get off their backs, relax. It's a nice comment. The writers are trying to be nice. It makes perfect sense for the situation. Not everything has to be an outrage. And I liked it. I liked the line.
I liked the line too. I'm a huge fan.
It was very poignant.
Matt, you're a mental health advocate. You love helping people with mental health, and you're a big supporter of NAMI. How did you feel about that line? Was that an appropriate line?
Yeah. It puts grief in a different way. With me, one of the things that when I started my recovery, grief counseling was one of them, because when I started, I unfortunately was dealing with the loss of a family pet. And to put grief in that way where it's, I mean, first off, it's okay to feel grief. It's okay to feel sad.
Without a doubt.
Anybody who tells you otherwise is just trying to sell you something.
Well, that's a good line.
I'm pretty sure plenty of shows and stuff have said it. But to put grief in a way that you're sad, but you're sad because you loved something that much and that love was real, and it just like looking at it is like, oh, you're right. I am sad that, like, for Wanda, I'm sad that I lost my brother, but it's because I loved him. He was my brother. Him and I grew up together. We were together through this, that, and the other.
Well, and those that you love are never truly.
Yeah. And I feel like with it coming from Vision, who is a very logical person, and him at some point just also saying that to also just try to understand and figure it out. It's like, it's true. I mean, I haven't experienced, every type of grief, but this is just the grief of loss, of losing a loved one. And I think that that's something that is, I feel like that's something that I hope people adopt as their mantra if they're going through a hard time, going through grief, because it is very poignant. It's very good. Like, I watched the episode the day after it came out, and at that point I'd already seen those the quote everywhere.
Comments.
Just saw those quotes just everywhere. I was like, okay. And I didn't understand the context at the time, but in the context of the show, in the context of that scene, really in the context of what Wanda is going through during that show, it's amazingly powerful and poignant. And, it shows that even, the heroes that we look up to, right, go through stuff that we go through. Maybe not on a same scale. Like, I don't think any of our friends were ever being murdered by Ultron.
God, I hope not.
You're right. Just stop working on AI. We're good. We're happy where we're at.
Yeah, that's real.
We're watching you, Siri.
And Alexa.
Yeah, and Alexa and
Google
and Cortana.
Oh, my phone turned on. God, that's terrifying.
But I think it was a very important line. I think that's going to be a line that you're going to be seeing echoed through media for a long time.
I hope so.
And it shows that, I mean, we've known for years that comic book movies and shows are a lot more than blockbuster, stuff like, oh, we want to get as much money as we can.
No. They're just going to go the way of the cowboy film. Didn't you hear Scorsese?
Yeah, okay. I'm somebody who loved Westerns, so, like, Martin, chill there.
Shut up. Not you, Martin. You're great.
But that being said, it shows on the mental health side, like I've went into, but also just on the media side, is if people haven't been paying attention to superhero movies at this point, is that there's really good writing and there are really good, really real
Wake up,
themes.
It's happening.
Like, same thing when people are like, oh, Lord of the Rings is just about dragons and stuff. Like, no, it's a film about friendship, about love, persevering through literally the darkest time ever.
Yeah. I'm glad. I like your take on the line, Matt. I'm glad that you have that insight. Not that you speak for everybody with mental health journeys.
No,
but
just coming from, my own personal struggles and stuff and my own recovery. I also don't really, I don't think I'll ever fully understand why people have a gripe with it.
That's their issue. That's their issue to get over. Very poignant, Matt.
What what the show does is, it wasn't the first one to do it, but it reinforces the idea that the MCU has evolved from the genre of superhero to doing different genres through the lens of superhero.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the first one we saw that did that was the Winter Soldier movie.
Where it was a straight up spy thriller.
movie.
Yeah.
It's a great spy movie through the lens of superheroes.
Yep.
It's almost like comic books have been doing that for years. It's almost like that's a medium that should be taken seriously.
Almost. But
it's getting there.
So from this, Agatha realizes, okay, so you've become very close to Vision. He was there for you when you were in a very dire place. You formed a very strong bond. That explains part of it, but why here? Why? What happened? That there's still just like a little something missing. And then we cut to the events right before WandaVision. Right before WandaVision, which is like very, very like within a week of Infinity War.
Yeah.
Or Endgame. And she goes to Sword to try and see Vision.
I hated this.
Yeah, this is real bad. Eventually, Hayward lets her in. And she's like, I want to see him. And he's like, okay. So shows her the sprawled out Vision. Like he is in
Not
literal pieces.
Yeah,
like they've taken him apart.
And they're analyzing the wires. Ugh. And it's very creepy. And she's like, well, we should bury him. And he says the admittedly logical line of like, listen, I can't surrender like $14 billion of vibranium. Like I can't do that. I get it. So,
but also I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
But like he's like the capitalism is bad guy. Like Agatha's bad guy. He's the antagonist.
He's like the man bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's the G. Yeah, he's a G-man.
Agatha's the fun comic book villain. He's like the real bad guy that everybody.
She's cool and
like.
Fun.
She's cool and fun.
He's the establishment, man.
Yeah, let's take it down, man.
Hey, man, Rage Against the Machine, man.
But he also like leads her on and is like, so is that all you just want the body? Like, I mean, if I were you, not that you're asking, but if I were you, I'd like bring him back. Right? Because like I would have crazy magic powers, but that's me. That's not you. That's what I would do.
Yeah, whatever. Do whatever you want. But
do whatever you want, but that's an idea. You can have that one that's free. Like you can do it. That's what I would do.
You can just bring back somebody you love. It's like, ooh, that'd be crazy, right? Yeah. Right.
So he lets her in. And what is pretty soul crushing is she puts her hand to his head and says, I can't feel you, which echoes Infinity Wars when Vision's like, something's wrong. And she puts her, touches the Mind Stone. And she says, I just feel you.
Oof.
I hate how the show made me feel things. Emotions are scary.
Truly was a very special episode.
Yeah, so we see that when she goes in, she actually gets mad and breaks the glass, which you see in the video that had been brought up, like, Wanda's a bad guy.
Yeah, that video was very pointedly edited.
Yes, it was in fact doctored. As she leaves the compound without Vision's
and when she
body.
Gets in the car, without Vision's body, she gets in the car and she sees something on her seat. She looks at it and she drives. She drives to Westview. She drives to her street. She drives to where their house is. It's an empty plot. Looks like a foundation had been built, but that's literally it. Like something was there.
New Jersey.
In Westview, New Jersey. And
so it's
she opens up the paper.
Just kidding, Jersey, I love you.
And it's the deed to the property. And in the same heart from episode 1, it says to grow old in.
I hate it.
And hoo boy, there were tears.
Vision bought this for them.
Lie down. Try not to cry.
Before he
cry forever.
Cry a lot.
Yeah.
And what also kind of not really helps. One thing I noticed is that in Age of Ultron, Fury set Hawkeye up with the farm. So I'd like to think that Sword gave Vision the land kind of thing. Like helped him out with that to a degree. So I'm like, that's a cool, probably my just headcanon, but like it's plausible. It would track.
Hey man, that headcanon doesn't make me cry that much, so it's okay. I'll accept that headcanon.
So reading this, being there, she is just emotionally devastated, completely devastated. So much so she kind of cries out, similar to Age of Ultron, where just a huge pulse of energy and sets up the hex. I don't believe she tried to set up the hex. That's just what happened. She retreated to the recesses of her mind, which is her comfort zone, which was the show, like the sitcoms.
Mhm.
Back to the Dick Van Dyke Show-ish one. And then from her, she kind of creates the vision from her. And she's in color, he's in black and white.
Welcome home, darling.
Yeah. She's in color, he's in black and white. So she genuinely did not mean to do this. She didn't purposefully cast any kind of spell. Like, it happened. It was a moment of grief, of sadness, and definitely probably impulse. And it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So then Agatha leaves, and she has the children like on leashes, not on leashes, but like tied up with like threads. And
like magic.
And the tweet I saw was like, "Man, the Disney Channel original movie vibes this has." And I'm like, you know what? You got it.
Yeah,
you got him.
She looked exactly like Calabar from Halloween Town.
Sure,
but she's like floating, and the gown is billowing in the air. I just waited for her to go, "You blah blah Halloween Town." I love that movie. I love Halloween Town, dude. That movie's amazing. I'm pretty sure I own it.
It's not Disney Plus if you don't. All of them are. So yeah. So then that's where that episode ends. And she's like, okay, you know what, Wanda, you don't even know what you are. You are the Scarlet Witch. You've been wielding chaos magic. That is too dangerous to live. Then across town, we see the White Vision.
First time we hear Scarlet Witch in the MCU. Up until that point, she was always Wanda.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what the Funko Pop boxes said.
Yeah, doesn't matter what they said.
Right. It's never been said on screen, so
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
100%. Then the finale, which is called series finale, so no more WandaVision, guys.
Yeah,
and it's not British series either.
No,
it makes sense
US
though. Like it makes sense.
Yeah.
It was.
It still bummed me out.
More so a 4-hour plus movie than a series.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I still wish it wasn't over. I want more.
So the final episode begins with all the fights. Wanda's fighting Agatha. This is gonna be like one of those comics where like not a ton happens.
Was there a post-credit scene in that last episode?
No.
There was White Vision.
Oh yeah, White Vision coming online. Yeah.
Right. Which White Vision is from the West Coast Avengers run in the 80s, where they wipe Vision completely and start him over, and he like has no memory of anything, and he doesn't know that he loves Wanda and all this stuff. And it was really, people were like hoping to get this from the comics, and they got it. And it was very, very cool. And they did a great job with the design.
Yes, excellently done.
They make Paul Bettany look more cold and robotic by adding like some more like ridges to his face. It looks really
changing,
and the eyes.
Yeah, changing the eyes to make them look like they are robot eyes, not Vision's eyes, which look human.
Yes,
they're Paul Bettany's eyes. I would hope.
So this episode is largely like fights. Like it's Agatha and Wanda fighting, Vision and Vision fighting. Vision and Vision. We can break that one down pretty quickly.
I really want to talk about Vision. I
really like that.
Do
fight.
it.
I really liked that fight.
So, okay, so Vision and Vision are fighting, and White Vision is like, he says, my prime directive is to destroy the Vision. So he's trying to destroy the Vision. They're fighting. Then in color Vision, Wanda's Vision says, okay, but hold on. Aren't you Vision? And he uses logic, and I love this. He's like, aren't you Vision? And the White Vision says, well, I guess technically, but you are the one who has all of the memories and has all of the thoughts, and you have the brain patterns of Vision, so you must be Vision. And then they break down the Theseus's ship, which I've always thought of as maybe the most, like, that gif of the guy from Tim and Eric, and he goes next to his head, and like there's a bunch of explosions behind him. the ship of Theseus has always been that way for me. I'm like, that just like breaks my brain because there's no right answer. It's a philosophical question. And the philosophical question poses this. There's the ship of Theseus that Theseus, the Greek hero, used. And it's sitting in a museum. And as the boards start to rot and deteriorate, they replace them. But it's still the ship. Well, if you get to the point where you replace every board, is it still the ship of Theseus? And so there's two ways you can look at it. Yes, it'll always be the ship of Theseus because, it's called the ship of Theseus. And just because, you're replacing the boards, but it's still the same shape it was, it's still the same color it was, and it's in your mind it is. The other argument is, well, no, once you replace it all, then when there's nothing that Theseus touched, it's no longer the ship of Theseus. It's a replica of the ship of Theseus, or it's a completely different ship. Both answers are correct because there's no right answer. It's all about your mindset. And I've always thought of that as just the biggest, coolest idea that is impossible to explain. And using this logic, Wanda's vision talks to the white vision and uses this to say, well, you're a recreation of the vision. So you will have all of the vision's memories. And the white vision says, what are you talking about? He says, may I? And he touches the visions where the Mind Stone would be. And he's able to unlock all of the memories that the vision had, all of them, but with none of the context. So the white vision has no idea what's going on. He understands that those memories are there, but he doesn't understand what they represent or what they just what they mean. Like, he's not vision. He has to go process this. So he's like, cool, thank you. And he leaves with no more conflict. He just
straight up through the skylight, which was the shaped as
and the way without phasing.
Yeah, he just goes,
which is cool. Because vision would phase.
Well, I think the skylight was shattered to begin with.
I like when they get through all of the memories, and you see the little light on white vision turn from that blue to the Mind Stone green. And it's I noticed that you're gonna come back,
and then it goes back to the blue.
My guess is he's coming back.
The eyes go from technological gaps to circles and human eyes.
Yes, rather than being circuits or whatever. They're bringing Vision back in the MCU using that robot, but it makes perfect sense and it just feels good. I don't mind that. I didn't want it to be a cop out. I love this instead. I think it's great. But that's the end of Vision and WandaVision. He doesn't come back. That white Vision does not come back for the rest of the show. He'll be back later.
Meanwhile, really downtown.
Thank you for indulging me. I love the ship of Theseus thing. I think it's so cool.
That's great. It is excellent. Meanwhile, downtown, the Agatha's like, look at what you did to all these people. Why would you do this to all these people? And then she's able to get people out of the hex. And then Dottie comes to her and she's like, listen, if you want, maybe we could do a storyline where my daughter gets to go to school and isn't locked up in a room away from me.
Says, hey, Dottie, and Dottie's not her name.
Yeah.
She's like, that's not my name. My name's whatever, Ellen or something.
Madeline? Her name's important. It's something Proctor, which could lead to something down the line. Okay. I forgot what it was, but someone wants to Google it because I don't off the top of my head remember. But she's like, if you want my daughter, if I could just hold her, that'd be great. My daughter that I have. My child that I haven't seen this whole time. If you want, if that's up to you. And then she goes, no. Everyone's happy. Everyone's fine. Meanwhile, you got Kitty Foreman just kill us. End it.
Let me die, please. Let me die. But she says it in such a sad
She's defeated
way.
In a very defeated tone.
Horrible.
It's just my God. So she gets too stressed out and causes even more pain. And then she's like, you know what? No, you're right. So she opens up a bit of the hex and just go, get out of here.
Go.
Which then, of course, Sword is able to go into the hex. And then Vision arrives and Vision...
Sword gets punked so hard.
Well, yeah, they have no superpower.
I love it. But I just love seeing the man get taken down.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
and then Vision arrives. So the whole family, the 2 children, Vision and Wanda, are together to combat Sword. And
they do a cool team up pose.
And the Wanda says, like, listen, Vision's like, no, we didn't really train you for this. And Wanda goes, but you were born for it. It was so good. It was cheesy, but I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with cheese.
One of the Sword operatives goes to shoot at the child.
It was
with
Hayward
Photon
shot it.
Wiccan. Hayward.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. Yeah. Hayward. And Photon's able to rush over and stop the bullets. And then Wiccan's able to stop the other bullet.
The way she stops the bullets too is like the beginning of her power. She's going to, so the bullets go into her and the kinetic energy from the bullets stay in her and the bullets just fall out.
Yeah, she becomes
Photon is able to absorb any energy. Oh,
it's super cool. I guess other thing that happens is Agatha goes into like the Scarlet Witch's I forget how often, centuries, millennia, I don't know. But it's the embodiment of chaos energy, and the Scarlet Witch's destiny is to bring destruction to the world. Like, that's who you are. And then Wanda sneaks up on there and like does the whole thing we haven't seen since Age of Ultron, where she creates a new reality for Agatha, and does the creepy walk from Age of Ultron that I could have done without. And it takes Agatha back to the Salem witch trials, or not Salem witch trials, where she was burned at the stake by the Coven. And she's like, I'm the Scarlet Witch. And Agatha's like, duh. But then the Coven's like, no, Agatha, you're fine. Wanda, you gotta go. You are far too dangerous to live. And she's able to overcome that. I forget exactly what happens with that.
I think she just...
It's been a while. It's already been a week.
They basically just like, they fight through time.
Gotcha. The illusion eventually breaks. And then Agatha and Wanda take to the skies. And Agatha's like, I just want your power. Because if the Scarlet Witch doesn't have the power, then the Scarlet Witch can't bring about the end of the world. And Wanda's like, so just keeps lobbing energy at her, but she keeps missing and lobbing energy at her. And Agatha is able to take in the witch energy. That's what we've seen her do before.
But the energy that's going aside, Agatha's just letting go aside.
Yeah, she's just taking the direct hits. And then once Agatha has all the power, she goes to cast a spell and she can't. And Wanda goes, only the witch who casts the runes can use their magic inside the area. Thanks for the lesson.
And you look around the hex. All the runes. You look around the hex and you see that she wasn't missing.
She was casting the runes that she'd only seen for like a little bit before. Which goes to show how vastly more powerful she is than Agatha. So then she's able to take the power back from Agatha and turn her back into, in her words, the role she chose, the nosy neighbor.
Yeah.
And Agatha's like, well, like you'll need me. And she's like, well, and I'll know where to find you. And then she's like, you betcha, or whatever. Not you betcha, but like she ends with something super
okie dokie
artichoke. That's the one. Like something super suburban,
super dumb.
Yeah, I love something like that. So then with that, the hex is kind of closing in, but the WandaVision family returns to their home, put the kids in bed. They say good night. And that the ones we love can never truly be apart from us forever. We just can't. And then Wanda and Vision go downstairs, and Vision's like, okay, what am I? Why can't I remember what happened before 2 weeks ago? Like, what's the deal? And it's revealed that the piece of the Mind Stone that lives in Wanda is what made her able to make Vision. And the Mind Stone powered Vision, which is how he was able to be, autonomous. Like, Wanda didn't control him, per se. And it was great. Oh, we forgot about Ralph, guys. Forgot all about Ralph.
Yes, I was waiting for that because
Matt, this sounds right up your alley. Why don't you talk about Ralph?
Yes. So
previously,
end of episode 7, we got the Snoopers Gotta Snoop, and from Quicksilver, and it turns out in episode 9 we realize that he is holding Photon at his quote man cave, and she tries to escape a few times, just not fast enough. And eventually she starts looking around and seeing pictures, and she's like, who are you really? And she sees that this is not Pietro. Pietro is not back from the dead or from a different universe, because that would be stupid.
That would be too good.
Yeah, that would be so dumb. It is
hey, you sound a little bitter.
The fabled husband Ralph.
Ralph he's not named.
What is Ralph's full name?
I'll tell you, it is Ralph Boner.
Boner.
And
what a dumb name.
Yes.
And it looked like he was trying to make it as like an actor, right? Because he had headshots.
Yeah, he was just, some dude trying to make it as an actor. And it turns out he was being controlled by Agatha from his necklace that he had.
Mm-hmm.
And so Photon is able to outsmart him, which granted is not too difficult.
No.
And she breaks it off of him, and then he snaps
Ralph
out
Boner,
of it.
not a thinking man.
And he snaps out of it, and he's like, where am I? What's going on? And that's how Monica gets out of there, and that's how my heart died a little bit. Just a little bit. That was the one thing I wanted, but it's fine. The show was still good.
Now, John, there's been a lot of theories online.
There have.
Do you happen to have any theories about Mr. Boner?
Yeah, it's pretty small. So in the first episode, when Agnes and Wanda are talking about the anniversary, the event of the evening, she mentions her husband Ralph, as she often does, and they're like, "Well, what are you gonna cook for tonight?" And she's like, "Oh, whatever." And she goes, "Well, all Ralph wants to do was eat baked beans." So I think she kept Ralph there and fed him just baked beans the whole time.
Yeah,
the guys that he wanted to do it, just fed him just canned food the whole time. Is my theory.
I can see that. That makes sense.
Not like a huge revelatory theory, but
not a groundbreaking theory. But sometimes you don't. Not everything has to be groundbreaking.
So back to the present-ish, since we glossed over Mr. Boner. The hex is moving.
You said Mr.
Yeah, closer and closer and closer in. And Vision said, "Well, we've said hello and we've said goodbye. If we say so, it tracks. If we say goodbye now, we could be saying hello in the future." And they get together, and the hex finishes, and then Wanda has a brief.
Well, as the hex finishes, it takes away everything that was there. It returns Westview to what it was like, and the house becomes just a foundation.
The plot, yeah.
And she just stands there in her overcoat with her hoodie underneath it, and is just back in. Now Westview is just normal Westview again,
as much as it can be. And there's a brief scene with Monica, where she's like, "They'll never know what you did for that, what you gave up for them." And she's like, "It doesn't matter. It does not matter. They'll never stop hating me." And then they just kind of let Wanda go.
Yeah.
Which,
realistically, what are they going to do to stop her?
Yeah, they can't really stop her.
Right. And then she's called away by someone we haven't met.
Monica
to go into the theater and have an audience, and then it's revealed that is a Skrull. Is it the Skrull child from Captain Marvel? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest.
Friend of yours.
I'm gonna be honest. I can't tell them apart. The makeup is way too simple.
Because they're always shapeshifting.
Yeah. So because earlier in the series she was grounded because she had been snapped, and that was a protocol. But they're like, we want to unground you. She goes, "What are you talking about?" And then she points up to the sky. It's like, we're going to get you airborne. So that's very exciting. I cannot wait for Captain Marvel 2. It's going to be amazing.
It's Nick Fury. That's the friend.
Could be. Or it could be Ben Mendelsohn's Skrull character. We don't know exactly who it is.
Oh, maybe.
Then
maybe.
Is that it for the show proper?
Did we talk about her costume that when the scene she gets it?
We sure didn't.
Okay. So let's talk about that. So up until this point, Wanda has had like just clothes that are red. That's her costume. Just clothes that are red. Pretty basic, which has been fine. Whatever. But then in this show, she finally gets her Scarlet Witch outfit. When she absorbs all of the power of Agatha and becomes the Scarlet Witch, which Agatha keeps talking is a bad thing. This is bad. Chaos magic is bad. Chaos magic is bad. Blah, 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 blah. She gets this amazing costume. And what I loved, and this is going to sound weird, especially coming from me, there's no cleavage. Elizabeth Olsen specifically has stated many times that it makes her uncomfortable to have her chest showing, and she's the only one in the Marvel Cinematic Universe who continuously has had her chest out. And, I'm sure she has no problem with it once in a while, but when it's the only thing that's like recognizable about the character, sometimes I'm sure that can be frustrating. So they gave her a costume that I'm sure she had some consultation in. It's like this cool, like plastic-y, leathery, like middle part that has like some shielding on it. Then it's got this long skirt that goes around the legs and black leggings. And then she can throw on a hood and cape. And then it has the crown, the Scarlet Witch crown that looks like an M on her head. And it looks really
good. The Sokovian fortune teller garb.
Yeah.
I love that.
She was obviously a Sokovian fortune teller, and Vision in that Halloween episode was clearly a luchador.
Yeah, that's what they said they were.
It was great.
Then the final postcard scene is kind of a callback to the Incredible Hulk, where she's remote, isolated from society, trying to harness her new powers, figure out new powers, get herself under control to a degree. Then we reveal she walks inside this cabin, very remote cabin, gets tea, which wonders what she was drinking on the porch in the first place if the tea was just being made, but I digress. And then she goes in the back and we see her astral projecting, learning from the Darkhold, the most evil book in the Marvel universe.
Something that she's had in the comics multiple times that have been very beneficial to her. Also very.
And what this drives the final nail in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Runaways coffin, because they have both featured Darkhold and it has been a very different Darkhold. So that is the final nail, which makes them
it's not great
canon.
Those shows are dead, but like it's great that I like what happened.
What's interesting is it's also a show of power, because Doctor Strange was able to do it, but he had to be on his body had to be resting while he did it. She does not. She's able to go while she's conscious. So it shows how much more powerful she is.
She's so powerful. And they mentioned that Agatha mentions that you are more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. So it's very exciting. And the show ends as she's astral projecting and she hears her kids say, "Mom," and her eyes open and she's coming for her.
And scene. She wants her family back,
She's gonna get it back.
I like this was a cliffhanger, but it wasn't a cliffhanger that I felt like I feel like
the
this
plot
wrapped
resolved.
up. Like I was worried. Yes, I was worried it's gonna be like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to wait 2 years to find out what happened. No, I know this is it.
It's genuinely as
thing.
open as any other non-Infinity War Marvel movie, where like the plot is resolved. There are some threads, but like the plot is done.
It's great.
It was great.
That's good stuff.
I loved it.
It was a fun show.
I still hold it as an impossibly high bar for Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But I'm going to watch it. I'm going to love it.
Yep. I know I'm going to enjoy it.
They're all going to be good. That's WandaVision, everybody. Let's talk about the things that didn't happen everyone wanted to happen. People thought Mephisto was going to be in it. I think we even said it. He didn't show up. That's totally fine. It didn't take away from the show. Honestly, Agatha felt like her own villain. Hayward felt like his own villain. It worked.
I think,
it was totally
to be
fine.
honest, trying to throw in any other things or huge characters, concepts would have been way more than you could chew with this show.
I agree. See Spider-Man 3. And The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The other big things were Reed Richards potentially showing up. There was never really, that was more people grasping. That was more grasping at straws than most things. Didn't happen.
Fair,
totally fine.
Monica's line didn't have to be, I know a certain aerospace engineer.
Yeah.
Like hinting that it should be someone that we know. Like that line could have been, I know someone who'd be up for something like that. Like it could have been way more low key.
I got a friend who could help me out.
Like did not have to be that pointed. It could have been way different.
Absolutely. The other big ones are Pietro and the fact that this is not going to bring in the Fox universe yet. However, some people are now speculating a million other things that could say he is still Pietro from that universe. Who knows? Blah, blah, blah. Like, how did he have the powers? But
the necklace.
Whatever.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
The necklace. How is it not the necklace?
I don't know. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing on the internet. Don't yell at me. I'm the messenger.
I'm yelling at them.
Put the gun down.
I'm yelling at you to yell at them.
Oh, you sons of guns! My windows are open and my neighbors definitely heard me screaming. What is the other?
That's what you get for having a nice day in March.
Absolutely. I think those are the biggest things that didn't happen, but none of them take away. The only problem that I had with the ending was I felt underwhelmed. And that's 100% my fault because I was expecting something crazy. And honestly, this was a pretty by the books ending, as much as by the books as you can get for WandaVision, but it was pretty by the books. I was a little bummed about Pietro. That was the one that got me. I was like, oh man, he's just a guy named Ralph. Yeah. That kind of stinks. And Matt, I know you were upset about that because you love that character and you were excited for the X-Men. I, as a pretty casual X-Men, Quicksilver guy, I didn't need it to happen, but I was kind of hoping. And, it is what it is. But that kind of bummed me out. But it's definitely my own fault for being underwhelmed because the show honestly promised me nothing and delivered a lot.
I was expecting Aaron Taylor Johnson to show up at some point, maybe in a vision, maybe in a dream, maybe when they were at the Hydra base in the flashback.
Not even in a flashback. Yeah.
That's what I was expecting. I didn't need it. It didn't at all make hold any bearing on my evaluation of the show. But that's what I was expecting. We all threw out crazy theories that didn't come through because when you're dealing with like magic and all sorts of stuff, like literally everything is on the table.
Right.
So
overall, I'm going to give the show a 10 out of 10. I loved it. Honestly, there was no low points. There was no bad points. The things that didn't happen, they never promised me. So I cannot fault them for not doing it because it was never promised.
I agree.
So they nailed everything. I loved it so much.
I also give it a 10.
Matt, what did you think about the show? Yeah.
The only show content on Disney Plus I like more is The Mandalorian. But, I mean, come on.
And that's all your trash.
That is 100% my garbage. But I thoroughly enjoyed WandaVision. I was going in knowing that I was going to enjoy it. I was going to enjoy the show spoofs and stuff. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I would probably put it up there, probably 9.5 for me.
Sure.
And like you said, the show didn't owe us anything. I was a little sad that, I thought maybe we were going to get just even a glimpse that the X-Men are closer than we thought. But that's not the case. I don't hold it against the show writers or anything like that. What they did with Pietro and Ralph, like it completely makes sense. Like John said, when you throw in magic and stuff, literally everything is on the table. And I mean, we know we're going to see the multiverse opened up in the next Strange movie because it's literally in the title.
Yes.
Maybe Mephisto will be there. Who knows?
I actually take back my score.
Yeah.
I don't give it a 10. I give it a 0 because she didn't say no more mutants.
You're right.
So shows
okay, Lionel Hutz.
We didn't get the no more mutants, but no, it was fantastic.
Real quick, favorite TV spoof. Mine was the Dick Van Dyke one that opened up the entire show, the 50s one.
Malcolm in the Middle.
Sure.
I really like the magic show and the Bewitched one. I think the magic show is like my favorite scene. It's just a lot of not slapstick, but like it's just boom, 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 funny joke.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, please make sure that you've checked out WandaVision and make sure you've checked out our first episode about WandaVision, episodes 1 through 5. It's a great episode because those are 5 great episodes. And make sure you check us out on Twitter at Talkin' Trades. We're on Facebook, Talkin' Trades. We don't have a Patreon, we don't have a Reddit, but hey, if you demand it, we'll get it. You can follow us on our Twitter handles that are going to be in the outro.
That rhymed. Next week, we are reading Justice League. Rock of Ages. Rock of Ages.
Copyright strike. Dang it.
No, it's fine.
Our second one.
It's fine. Last week I sang Come Together. Granted, it's not out yet. That's my bad, everybody. But
our third copyright strike then. And we love you so much, and we're so happy you joined us for our WandaVision review. Gentlemen, say goodbye.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
It's been Talking Trades all along.
I love you.
Okay, bye. That's the podcast this week.
You can follow us on Twitter at Talking Trades. Follow Jeremy on Twitter at LizardKing27. You can find John on Twitter at Maesterlaka, Maesterlaka. And for this and other projects from Matt, please check out Facebook at Matt Spina Music. And remember, we're not experts, we're fans.